What are the two types of mollusks?
And cephalopods.
All right. What are all these?
Bivalves.
Yes. Technically, we could break them down even further. What family do they fall into?
Bivalves.
Right. We're going to do back here shucking. And up front, I'm going to do put these hot. We'll talk about these much more later. But we have two types of clams. What type of clam is this? Hard shell. What's the name of the clam? A what?
Mahogany.
No, mahogany's from Maine. Those are from New York. Quahog. What are their four sizes?
Little neck.
Cherry stone and chowder.
And to give you an idea, these are probably at the smallest end of the spectrum. The little neck. These are little necks, these are top necks. I'm going to steam these. I'm going to make you open those raw. Because if you can open those, you can open these. No guarantee of the other way around.
So the smaller, the harder? Is it harder when they're smaller? No. Easier.
I don't think it's hard at all. If you're going to tell me that that animal's stronger than you, I can't tell you what I'm thinking out loud, especially with a video camera on, but mind you, you don't want to know what I'm thinking. How long do I keep this tag?
90 days after the last one.
It's the only
It's
correct
consumed.
one. After the last one. All right, so we're getting if you have these bags, nothing drives me crazier than the students on campus who rip every bag because they're too unskilled to open a knot. That's a kind way of putting it. Save every bag. Also, if you tighten them down, you can't open as much. Those are going to go away. What are the small ones that are brown, white, and green? Cotton. Very good. That's why you're the group leader. Wherever Adam wants to send. What's a clam called if the shell doesn't close all the way? Steamer, Ipswich. What type of clam is it? What is this called? No, that's close. What kind? Adductor muscle. These are called adductor muscles.
Those are scales.
Why do these two look different?
Tight.
This, from a base sea scalp, smooth shell, can be large, can be small, but the smooth shell is a sea scalp, and base scallops come out of the jagged shells. Alright, so let's talk about Alright, if you look at that board, on the left-hand side, you will see a clam rendering. You will see there's a hinge that goes sideways. If you cannot see this, please do not try to open them today.
What do you mean?
I mean, if you can't tell that that's going that way, I don't want a clam knife in your hand and I want you to leave my classroom. That's what I mean. Okay? Because some of you will try to open it like this, and I'm tired of just people not paying directions. It's just, one would have to ask why you're here. I mean, there's 2 arrows there, there's 2 arrows there. I'm going to give the demo multiple times. If you still don't follow directions, don't ask for help. I will only help those that are actually doing what's on the board. You're going to open the clams in your hand, clam knife only, through the hinge, hold parallel to the table, and you're going to do what I call squeeze and wiggle. And finally, realize that I really need to label all these. Luckily for you, none of the symbols in the Germanic language that form the word clam are in the word oyster, and vice versa. So if you mess that up, you can always come here and say, oh, those match. I guess this is what I'm using. Not so much, not what I'm going to use. But you'd be shocked, some people don't do that, and then they break my clam knives, and I get very sad. And then I always love when I see someone try to put this through here and it doesn't fit. And they're like, it doesn't work. I'm like, obviously, it says oyster and you're using it on the clam. I wouldn't expect it to work. So, with a clam, what are those 2 muscles called? You said it
Oh,
earlier.
adductor.
Adductor muscles. What's an adductor muscle's function?
Closing and opening.
Yeah, close it. All it does is flex. An adductor can do nothing but flex. Your bicep's an adductor. It closes, it flexes. You don't unflex it to open your arm. Flex. So all that thing does is flex, flex, flex. That's how they swim. And there's one on each side, and they go all the way from the top to the bottom. So here and here, connected to here and here. They go straight through the shell. You need to know that because if you don't cut through them, you're not getting that out. I will have you each get a clam knife and a Kimberly-Clark towel today. The clam knives, it doesn't matter what you use. I like a really narrow one. If this was mine, like mine at home, I put an edge. I believe they cut much easier if they're edgy. But you've never used it before, so without knowing what the edge is, that's why I don't like using anyone's knives with my own. I know my edges. It's like driving someone else's car. Yeah, you could do it, but you won't do it as well as your own. So, wider does not make a difference. Thinner is not better. Wider is not better. This is what I'm used to. So when you open in your hand, you first off, before you even attempt to open a clam, you need to understand how to close your hand. And I think you close your hand best this way. Technically, that's closed. I don't think it's the most advantageous way to do it. This is how I close my hand. This is how I open an oyster or a clam. A clam knife says clam on it. The wide side is the back side of the blade. That does not go in the other. The blade side goes in the other. You're going to go through the hinge where it opens and closes. I'm going to look at the board, so I'll pay attention. I'm right-handed. I'll hold the knife in my right hand. I'll hold my clam so the hinge goes away from me like that. This way. You we'll put a Kimberly Clark towel here in case you slip. Unless you want to slice that open. Man, that hurt. Holy crap. This will go here. I'm going to hold it parallel to the table. Why parallel?
Cut parallel?
Hmm? Potentially, I mean.
It's like all online.
It's much smaller.
Because the slit is also parallel to
There's liquid in here. If I turn it this way, it's going to pour out. If I turn it this way, it's going to pour out. That way, it's going to pour out. This way, it'll stay in. What I'm going to recommend, and once again, you do not have to do my recommendations. Many people don't follow my recommendations. If you went out for oysters or clams, what would they be served on? Ice or salt. And part of that is to keep them nice and cold, and part of them is to keep it steady. I make a little bed, and I'm going to put these animals down on it so they don't slide around. I am going to put the clams and the oysters down in the order that we're going to do the tasting. You open them in a different order, that's on you. But when we do the tasting, they're all going to be done in a specific order. Now, they won't rock around. So, you will have the clam, your towel here, clam here, knife in the hinge. I would recommend putting the knife in the back of the hinges. It only goes in one way. You have this clam any other way, it won't fit. And then you will squeeze, and you will wiggle, and you'll get the clam in there, or the knife in there, and pry that open. You know there's an adductor muscle up there, so you're going to take the knife and release it off the top shell. And lift this up. Slit through those adductor muscles. I would twist the shell off and put it down. If there's any bits of mud, silt, sand, get them out. Then come underneath and release the animal from its adductor muscles on the bottom shell. Most clam shuckers would send that out. I don't trust you, so I want you to make sure it's separated by putting it on the other shell. I don't want you to have to wrestle there. If you do this right, literally, you just in between your thumb and forefinger, this here. I want you to see this. Knife in the hinge, squeeze, squeeze, wiggle. Oop, separate the shell. You would open this up. Most people would separate that. Gather. Twist. Most oyster bars right under and sell, but I don't trust that you're going to get it separated. And if you're going to be having customers pay you money, the last thing in the world you want to do is not send them out clams separated from their shells. They will be heated. Oysters have a narrow hinge. All oyster hinges are narrow. Most oyster shells are flat on top, cupped on the bottom. But they all have only one location where the knife fits, and that's in the hinge. Every single oyster. If you can't open these, it's because your clam or oyster knife is in the wrong location. If you're in the wrong location, I don't care how strong you are, you don't stand a chance of getting this open. I can randomly pick up any of these and find the hole. This is like a key, this is like a lock. Every oyster on the planet only has one location to open it. So when someone says, I can't do it, I'm not strong enough, you're not strong enough, you're in the wrong location. If you are right-handed, set your towel up, going to your left in the middle of your body. Put your oyster knife on the right-hand side. If you're left-handed, that way. Oyster swims to the knife. The oyster has the muscle on top and on the bottom. I'll show them to you. This goes right in here. It fits. The exaggerated motion is in and back. I need to keep this shell parallel because if I press too hard that way, all the water runs out. Overbalance, that way, runs out. Oyster knife only. They should say oyster knife. Top shell parallel table, in and back. So in, pull back. In, pull back. You throw your arm forward, you'll split that tendon between those two muscles. It'll take 8 months to heal. Ask me how I know. It's not comfortable. So back, it's a natural motion. I use my thumb as a focal point because I believe in physics. If I hurt my thumb, I'm using too much pressure. You will snap that shell before your thumb hurts. Double fold that back and go in and back. Do this in case you stick yourself. I'm not going to do it so you can see what I'm doing. This, I always approach and count backwards. 3, 2, come on, there we go. Pull back, slide my knife on both sides of the shell. There's a muscle right here that I want to scrape through. Scrape the top of the shell. It's right there at the tip of my finger. Now, it's so beautiful. Cut underneath it to release it. I don't trust you, so turn it over. Then I know it's disconnected. Come to your next oyster. Okay? Fold this over. 3, 2. If this takes you more than 2 seconds, you're not in the right location. I'll guarantee you that this is going to give up its strength before you do. Watch that muscle again. Think of it as just wearing out the muscle. You're probably not developing lactic acid in it, but I guarantee you, you can outweight this oyster strength-wise. If not, seek medical help instantly.
And they're still alive?
Yeah. They're probably dying. I think urine's out. Any questions on that? You want to see it again?
No, sure.
Okay. So I'm going to take these up front. I am going to put the animals down in order on your table. You, when you're